Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my Sims 4 speedbuilding video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building in the world of Sequoia, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack of Sims 4 Growing Together, and I'm going to be building a one-story family home. So this house ends up having 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and it's built on a 40 by 30 lot. Now recently I was looking at my channel and I realised I really haven't sat down and built a one-story family home in donkey's years. And when I say donkey's years, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I literally haven't built a single story family home in the game in such a long time, and I just know from a lot of comments that I get that a lot of people do enjoy playing in one story households just because a lot of people find it really easy to manage that way. And so this week I thought, well, why don't I sit down and just build a one story family home? That way if you are someone that really enjoys playing in one story houses, then yeah, you've got something to download if you fancy it. And so that is exactly what I did, and I really hope you guys like it. But anyway, getting on and talking a little bit more about the build itself and also what I'm doing right now. So you can see that I'm just coming in and fiddling about with the roofing on this house. Now I do just want to mention, you see how at the minute we've got 3 different bump outs in the roof, and it looks like there's going to be rooms in the roof on the upstairs level. It's not, it's just purely for decoration. Pretty much one of the reasons why I don't really ever seem to build one story houses is because I really struggle with not making them look weird. No, I feel like whenever I build a one story house, it just looks like a blob. Like, it doesn't look like it's got much going on. And so I decided to add a series of different bump outs in the roof purely for decoration. There's nothing up there. The way that I built the house, all the bedrooms, the bathroom, the kitchen, dining room, everything that's in this house is just on the one story. But I was thinking, if you wanted to, and if your Sims family do end up living in this house and maybe they want you to expand and maybe add a few more bedrooms or a few other spaces, there's definitely space and there's definitely kind of like the foundations on the upstairs if you did want to have a second story. But yeah, for the purpose of this build, I just made it so it's all on the one story. At one point I was also debating adding in a basement into this house, but in the end I decided against it. I was more so thinking a basement bedroom would be really cool for one of the household members, but then I was thinking, well, then it's not really a one story house, and then you got, you know, a basement is still a story. And so I decided to not go for that idea, and instead of making a basement bedroom, I decided to make it so the garage in this house is a bedroom, which I feel like is quite similar, you know, like a basement bedroom vibe, garage bedroom vibe. It's kind of like the same kind of idea, kind of like it used to be something else but they converted it into a bedroom because there wasn't enough space in the house. It was kind of like the idea that I had for the household that lives in this house, because when I was building it, naturally I just developed a storyline to work towards and kind of decorate and build towards, and I'm really excited about the storyline. I feel like it's nothing like spectacular, don't get me wrong, like it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's a really nice storyline, and I tried to tie in a lot of the decorations in this house to kind of like make it make sense for the family that I envision living here. So like I already mentioned, the house ends up having 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, but you can sleep up to 7 Sims. If you wanted to, technically on paper you could have 9 Sims living here, which that's well over the maximum household capacity in the game. But if you wanted to, there is space for an extra 2 Sims. There is 3 double beds in this house, and each double bed can sleep 2 Sims. But for the idea of the family that I envision living here, I only needed space for 7. Now the household consists of a set of parents, 2 teenagers, 2 infants and 1 kid. Now I feel like this is the first time I've ever built a house, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever built a house in the game that's got a double infants room. Which, when I say a double infants room, I mean a nursery space for an infant that's got 2 cribs in. Normally, whenever I build an infant's nursery, I do it so it's got, you know, changing table, 1 crib, maybe a toy box, and I call it a day. But for the household that I imagine living here, I thought it would be a really fun little twist to add to the storyline that this family, they expected to only have 1 extra kid, and then they got 2. They got more than what they bargained for. And so, yeah, one of the bedrooms ends up being a little nursery infant room. Now, for the idea of the family, I imagined them to originally be from the city, but after a few years of living in a really small, cramped apartment, they decided to take the plunge and move out to the suburbs and buy their first ever house. I imagine their old apartment was probably just getting really cramped and overfilled. Like I said, I made it so this household ends up having 7 members, but I was thinking that 2 of the members, so the infants, they're fairly new, you know, like they've literally just popped out the room, they ain't been here for that long. But I was thinking the old apartment that this Sims family lived in was okay for, you know, the 2 teens and one kid, but then when they had a little bit of a surprise addition to the family and they got 2 rather than 1 infant, they decided just, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm going to move out of the city, and I'm going to buy a little house in the suburbs of San Sequoia. Now, in terms of the parent storyline and kind of like the parents' careers and hobbies and skills and stuff, one of the parents I was thinking is in the salary person career, which that is a career that we got from the Snowy Escape expansion pack. It's basically a career where your Sims, they work a lot. Like, they're barely ever home. I remember once I had a Sim in one of my personal households and they were in the salary person career. Never saw him. Literally was always at work, and if he was at home then he was stressed because he wasn't at work, because he had one of them personality traits or like one of them lifestyles where they need to always be working, otherwise they get really tense. I was thinking that one of the parents in this household is in the salary person career and they still work in the city, but every single day they just commute in. I was thinking that they probably take like the subway or a train to get into the city. Probably cost them a lot of money, and ever since taking this plunge of moving out of the big city and moving into the suburbs, it probably has made it so their monthly expenses have gone up, because they need to now pay for a travel card to get into the world of San Moschino every single day. And so I imagine that the first parent, the one that's in the salary person career, isn't really home that much because they're always working overtime. They're always just trying to bring home more money to pay off the mortgage, pay for their travel cards, pay for everything else in the family. The second parent does have a job, but I'll move on and speak about that shortly. But yeah, that was kind of like the idea that I had for parent number 1. Just a massive, big workaholic, never really gets to spend that much time at home. And if they are at home, they're a bit stressed that they're not working and they're not using their time efficiently because they always want to be making more money. Basically just provide for their family. Now, for the second parent in this storyline, it's a little bit of a different story because this parent rarely ever leaves the house, which I'm saying like it's a bad thing. It's not actually a bad thing. It's more like they work from home. They want to stay at home and help raise the family. They're very much like the homemaker, but they've still got a job. They're still bringing in some sort of income. Now, I was thinking this second parent is an author, more so of parenting books. And the idea in my head that I had was, I imagine that they probably started out writing a few different columns and a few different articles, maybe like on a few different blog posts here and there. And then after this couple had their firstborn, they on a whim just decided to write a parenting book about all the different experiences, all the different things that they've learned ever since having their first child. And that book went on to being published and it was a massive hit. And then ever since then, they decided to, instead of being a column writer, writing articles in different magazines or blog posts, to basically sit down and focus on writing purely parenting books. Now, I did try and show this in the decorations in the parents' bedroom because the parents' bedroom ends up doubling to be a home office. We've got a little computer desk in there, we've got a little computer, also a bookcase, but next to the computer desk on the floor, I placed down some debug parenting skill books on the floor, but the ones that look like they've been displayed in some sort of shop window. The Parenthood game pack, where your Sims can have a parenting skill and they can discipline the kids and ground them, tell them off if they're being naughty, that kind of thing. Well, we've got a different set of skill books in the game which your Sims can read to learn and level up in the parenthood skill. I basically plopped them down on the floor by the computer desk, thinking that maybe this is the next release that this author is going to be releasing, or maybe it's that first hit that they had and they've just still got such a big supply of this parenthood book. But yeah, I placed them down into the home office, and I was thinking it might be quite fun for a storyline idea if their first book was an absolute massive hit. They thought that they were going to be able to, be this best-selling author, but ever since their third or fourth book, it's kind of died down a little bit. And so maybe the family are struggling a little bit in terms of they don't really have 2 full incomes coming into the household, and maybe that's the reason why one of their parents has to work so often, because they have to kind of overcompensate for the other parent's income levels. I don't know how to describe it, but do you know what I mean? One of the parents doesn't earn as much money as what they thought they was going to be, and so when they left their previous job or being a column writer or something, they thought that they were going to make the big bucks. They thought they were going to make so much money, and they did for a little while, but then it just kind of faded away a little bit. And so maybe that's one of the reasons why yeah, one of the parents works a lot, but for the second parent that is an author, I have this idea that I imagine that although that they love writing, their kind of like new end goal is to open up a bakery because in their spare time they love to bake. I just really love the idea of this sim when they're maybe experiencing a little bit of like writer's block, they can't put words to paper, they're really struggling to come up with things to talk about in these parenting books. Maybe in these times they would just, you know, go into the kitchen and start baking, and over time they just kind of like develop this love for baking. I'm thinking baking's probably one of them things where if you're struggling creatively and you can't think of anything, it's probably like a bit of silence in their mind. Like they don't have to think about words, they don't have to think about grammar and, you know, the way that things are going to link in their storylines. They just have to think about the dough and making sure that what they're making is actually going to taste nice and stuff like that. And so I imagine over time that they just fell in love with baking, and now where they're not earning as much money as what they originally did when they did start off as an author, they just now want to have this end goal of owning a little bakery. I'm picturing that this sim often makes bagels for breakfast, makes fresh bread every single day. I was also thinking that they're a massive participant in the local school bake sales, which this isn't really a thing in the UK, but whenever I watch any sort of like American sitcom, someone always mentions a bake sale. Like a bake sale seems to be a massive thing in the US. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it'd be really fun if maybe this parent is always over delivering on the bake sale and everyone knows that they're in for a treat when they bring out their cupcakes or something. And so yeah, I was thinking that they want to one day open up like a little bakery or something. Also, by the way, in the kitchen, I tried to make reference to this by having like a little baking area. I placed down some piping bags, some decorations, and then I was also thinking it was this Sim's recent birthday and the other parent bought them a stand-alone mixer, and you might be able to tell in the kitchen because I end up placing down a bow on top of the mixer to make it look like it was the birthday present, kind of like with a bow on it. I just thought it was really sweet. But moving over and talking about the storyline for both the teenagers and then also the kid in this household, I was actually kind of impressed with myself because I was able to make some sort of idea for a storyline for a kid, because I don't know if it's just me, but I always really struggle bringing up with like storylines for children in the game, because kids are just kids, aren't they? Like, they like a new thing every single week. And so, to me, trying to, like, think of storylines for children, I find it quite hard. But, no, this kid in this household does have a little bit of a storyline. But focusing on one of the teenagers to start off with, one of the teens, I imagine, wants to grow up one day and become a florist. And I thought this could pair so nicely with the parent that wants to own a bakery, because I'm thinking maybe they really have a close friendship with them. They're, you know, best of friends, and they want to open up a part bakery, part flower shop with one of their parents, which this is something that you can do, by the way, in the game. If you've got the Sims 4 Get to Work expansion pack and then also the Sims 4 Seasons expansion pack, your Sims can become like a flower arranger, florist kind of thing from the Seasons expansion pack. But then with the Get to Work expansion pack, we got the introduction of a retail business and then also the baking skills. So this is very much a thing that you can actually do in the game, and I have done it before and it is so much fun. I've also actually built a part florist, part bakery before. It was years ago, but I just remember that build just being so wholesome and just so sweet. That one was for a single mum who had 2 daughters, I believe, off memory. But besides the point, I was thinking that the teen in this household, basically just wants to have a little shop with one of their parents. It's part flower shop, part bakery, and it will just be lovely. Now, in their bedroom, we'll see, I do try and place down a flower arranging table into one of the corners, but it just looked weird, because to me, I always associate the flower arranging table to be an outside object rather than an inside object. And so when we move on and we decorate their bedroom, you will see it in the corner, but I end up just thinking it just looks a bit bizarre, it just looks a bit weird, and so I do end up deleting it. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world anyway, because I do end up adding in a flower arranging table onto this little like upper porch bit over here. You can just see that I've plopped it down. So I was thinking that the teenager is the one, or one of the teenagers is the sim that would use that flower arranging table more so than one of the parents. I mean, one of the parents could do, if they fancy, you know, the author sim, maybe when something's in the oven and they're baking a loaf of bread or something and they got a spare bit of time, they could run out into the garden and whip up a flower arrangement. But I was more so just thinking it was for one of the teenagers. But either way, moving on and talking about the storyline for the second teenager. So for this teen, I was thinking that they are probably the eldest out of both teenagers, only by like maybe a year or two, something like that. But for them, I didn't really have a set personality in mind. I kind of wanted to make their bedroom quite generic, any kind of sim, average kind of teenager kind of bedroom in there. It's in the garage. I end up placing down a little TV area with some bean bags. There's also like a little mini fridge in there with a popcorn machine. Maybe they're really into films and that's why they've got a popcorn machine in their bedroom, but also end up having a really nice PC set up in the corner. And also actually, I use a new light that we just got from the latest kit. It was a Party Essentials kit. It came out last week and this is my first build actually using that new Party Essentials kit in a build somewhere, because last week I built a French chateau completely different to the kit release. But yeah, I used this new like neon light that we got from that kit in their bedroom and it looks really cool in the corner on top of their PC setup. But yeah, overall as kind of like a sim, I was just thinking that they're an average sim. Like they don't really have something that they're fixated on, they don't have one particular hobby, they dabble in a few different things. But in terms of the storyline for the kid, I was thinking that the kid in this household, big sports kid, loves sports, and mostly in particular loves running. Now I was thinking they're in so many different after school activities. I'm thinking cross country, maybe netball, maybe football or soccer, whatever you want to class it as. Pretty much any sort of sports related after school activity that this kid can do, they love it. Like they are proper into sports, they're a proper sporty sim. And so in their bedroom I tried to show this by placing down loads of different like fitness posters, and I placed down what I imagine to be like their new running shoes on, I think I placed it down on either the bookcase or in the bookcase, one of them. But I was thinking that they're really into sports, they're probably a little sporty kid. And I was thinking when they moved to the world of Sequoia, both them and then also their elder siblings had to change schools, which I imagine probably really worked out in their favour, because when they were living in the city, they probably went to a really big school with such a big like sports team, and there was so many different other kids that were really into sports, and for them it was probably really hard for them to get recognised to, people so they could see how good that this kid is at running in particular. But when they moved to the suburbs and they moved to a much smaller school, that they found that they're just now like the best athlete because there isn't much competition for this kid. It's a small little storyline, but I don't think I've ever done that kind of like idea for a kid, and yeah, it's really fun. But that was the idea that I had for the kid of this household. And then we also have 2 infants, like I said. Now I was imagining honestly that they were just twins, and I was thinking that it wasn't on the family's bingo card to have a set of twins. They probably thought we'll have one more, call it a day. When they went for their ultrasound, big surprise, there ended up being 2 in the tummy, and so that is part of the reason why this family moved to the suburbs. But I thought it was quite realistic as well for this household to have twins, because ever since the Growing Together expansion pack, twins and triplets are so much more likely in the game now. And me personally, whenever my sims have like a pregnancy, I always check with MC Command Center to realise how many is actually in the belly, because I found in gameplay that more times than not now, your sims are more likely to have twins or triplets ever since the Growing Together EP. I think that was a feature that they added, but it's definitely something that I've noticed. But yeah, that was kind of like the overview for the family that lives in this house. It's a very simple storyline, but I just absolutely love it. But you can see that I've now moved on into the inside. I did the whole entire back garden, and now I'm currently just coming in and focusing on the kitchen, and in particularly that little baking area that I was talking about. So over here I use the new, I say new, it's not really that new, but it's still kind of new-ish, but it's the standalone mix that we got from the Home Chef Hustle Stuff pack. And then I found this little base game bow, and then using the little red shelf, I moved object sit on top of it. Initially, when I was thinking about the bow idea, I was going to put it on the front of it, but then I realised there's like a little perfect shelf on top of the mixer, and so yeah, just plopped a little bow there. And then next to it I placed down some sort of like icing piping bag, some sort of like little decorations. I then also placed down some sort of like bakery cookbook or something. Oh, and actually something that I added which I thought was really lovely and kind of like a nice little touch, I added some sort of like cake stand next to the cake mixer. That cake stand, if you're wondering, we got that from the latest Party Essentials kit, which to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that I'd actually like that kit. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? To be fair, it's not Party Essentials. I don't feel like it's essential, but we have got some really nice new pieces within this latest build and buy kit. And yeah, that little cake stand was one of them, and I just thought it would be a perfect fit to plop next to the mixer. Maybe one of the parents is making a cake or something. Maybe they're making, maybe they've got like a commission to make someone's birthday cake or someone's wedding cake, and they've just got plopped the stand next to the mixer or something. I'm pretty sure I also ended up adding some more Party Essentials clutter onto that same little kitchen counter. It's more so like paper cups, and it looks like it's just basically snacks. It looks like someone's snack drawer, but out on the counter. I added that as well onto that counter, and yeah, that's from the Party Essentials kit. Like I said, honestly, I didn't think I'd actually like it, which does sound dreadful, but to me, I wasn't wanting a Party Essential kit. Like, to be fair, we have got an invisible dance floor now, which I feel like is going to be really handy, because previously we've only had dance floors that have got like patterns on them, but I end up using quite a few pieces from that new kit in this build, and one of my new favourite pieces is the ceiling light. It's really pretty. I use it in the dining room, but moving over. As you can see, I've now moved on into the lounge room. So for this room, I really wanted it to be very like family orientated. I wanted the family, or more so one of the parents and then the kids, to be able to sit down here of an evening and watch a bit of telly together. Also end up placing down one of them infant playmats in the corner. Now, like I said, there is 2 infants in this household, but I only placed down 1 infant playmat. If you wanted to have a bit of a jig about, you could probably manage to fit 2 of them in here, but I didn't want it to be too overpowering with adding too many different infant related things, and so I just added the 1. But I mean, maybe one of them's having a nap and then one of them's having a nap on the playmat, because that is something that they do in that playmat. It's not all party and games. Sometimes they just fall asleep when they go into that. But either way, in here, as you can see, I decided to use a 3-seater sofa that we got from the Growing Together expansion pack, but I paired it with this book nook sofa. Now, one thing that I'm so desperately wanting in this game is just some more love seats. We honestly have a look at the love seat category and barely any. We barely have any love seats in the game, and I find it so hard to match 3-seater sofas to a love seat, because the ones that we do have, a lot of them are like outside seating areas, or some of them are just weird, and it's not going to go with some of the other furniture pieces that we've got in the game. But I found the book nook love seat kind of paired quite nicely with this 3-seater sofa that we got from Going Together, and so yeah, I decided to use them. Also in this room as well, I placed down a fireplace, and then next to the fireplace we have like some sort of TV console. Initially I was going to place down the TV on top of the fireplace, but this fireplace in particular, it's so pretty, but it's so tall, and I'm thinking if your Sims are sitting on that sofa and they're trying to watch the telly, they're going to get neck pain. Like, it's going to hurt their neck. And so I thought, I'm not going to put it on the fireplace. I'll just pop a little TV console into the corner. And so yeah, that is what I did. I also just went around that room and finished it off by adding in some radiators, some light switches. I added in a little plug socket behind the TV console, and then now, as you can see, I've now moved over to the next room, which is the dining room. So in here, I decided to go for this base game table, and currently I've matched it with these Dream Home Decorator dining room chairs, but currently the way that it's looking, I had a white fireplace, white dining room chairs, I had some sort of like white shelving thing in the corner. It was just looking a little bit too all white for me, and so you'll see I decided to change the chairs to be these ones that we got from the Get Famous expansion pack. I remember when Get Famous first came out, I used them in every single dining room. I loved them dining room chairs, but nowadays I don't really seem to go towards them, but they kind of match the table in this room, and so yeah, I decided to use them. Also decided to pair it with this base game rug underneath it, and then the fireplace that I've used in this room is one that we got from Parenthood. It was the initial white one that I initially chose, and then I was trying to figure out which one that I wanted to go for, ended up reverting back to the original one, but I just changed the swatch. But also in this room I ended up placing down a little music station. Again, it's something that we recently got from the latest Party Essentials kit. I did try and fit the new bar in, which, if you haven't seen this new Party Essentials kit, it's basically a few different party bits and bobs. I wouldn't call it essential, but we have got some nice pieces, and one of them is a little radio station. It looks like it's got some sort of like record player or like vinyl player, and then also some sort of vinyls on it, so I just popped that into the corner. We also have a new ceiling light, which I was talking about. It is the one that I placed on top of the dining room table, and then other than that we have like a few different neon lights, a few different bits and bobs, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally class it as essential, but I mean, it is nice. But either way, as you can see, I've now moved over into the next room, which is the laundry room. So in here, it's very much does what it says on the tin. Your Sims can do their washing in this room. In the garden, I don't know if you would have noticed, but there is also a laundry line. So your Sims can hang their washing out to dry in the sunshine if it's like a summer day or something. But there is a washing machine, a tumble dryer in here, and then also a litter box, which actually, going back to the storyline for the Sims that live in this house, I am in 2 minds whether I want them to have a dog or a cat, because initially I was thinking I'll have a dog and a cat, you know, best of both worlds. But then when I actually did the math and I realised, hang on, you've already got 7 Sims, you can only have 1 more household member, and a dog and a cat both class as an individual member. I'm now thinking, do I have a dog or do I have a cat? Because the thing is, I love the idea of them having both of them, which it's not doable. Unless you use mods and cheats, you can't really have more than 8 household members to a family. But I love the idea of a cat, because I'm thinking when they moved from the city and they moved to the suburbs, they probably had their cat in their old apartment. And so it makes more sense to me, in my mind anyway, for the family to have a cat. But then I love the idea of the kid in this household, the one that loves running, to go for morning runs with a dog. I was more so picturing Golden Retriever, but I decorated the house more so for a cat, but in the kitchen I placed dog bowls, so I'm just in 2 minds. I don't know which one to go for. So let me know which one you think I should go for. Should I have a dog or should I have a cat? I wish I could do both, but unfortunately, unless I just get rid of one of the infants. But I like having the infants because I like the idea of his family, only preparing for one and then 2 came out the womb, and so yeah, let me know if you think I should have a dog or a cat for this family. But either way, as you can see, I've now moved over into one of the bathrooms in this house. Now, normally for bathrooms, I only ever show the furnishing for one of them, just because normally with my houses, some of them end up having like 5, 6, 7 bedrooms. Like, honestly, some of the houses that I end up building are quite big, and so to kind of like make it make sense, they end up having a lot of bathrooms. But for this house, I decorated one ensuite and then one family bathroom. But for the family bathroom, I decorated it to be for the infant and the kid. It's quite like kid friendly in there, and so you're going to see the furnishings for both of them. But in the first initial bathroom, I decided to use a shower and bath combo that we got from the Growing Together expansion pack, and then like a nice little sink area. It's got a few different like lotions and combs and toothbrush and all them types of bits and bobs in there. But you can see that I've now moved over and I've started decorating the first bedroom, which is the parents' bedroom. So in here, I decided to go for the bed that we got from the modern Luxe Kit, and then I decided to pair it with both the wardrobe and chest of drawers that we got from the For Rent expansion pack. That also ends up being like a little computer desk in here, and then also a little bookcase. But something that I wanted to point out, which you're going to see me do in a second, on the bedside table, I ended up placing down a little TV, and I'm thinking it's a baby monitor, because oftentimes when you have a baby, you will have some sort of like camera over the crib to monitor them in the night, make sure they're doing okay. And for this family, where I was thinking they've got 2 infants and they are kind of on the other side of the house, it might be really nice for them to have some sort of like little monitor system for them, just so they can check on them throughout the night. I was thinking at one point I could pop down a crib into this bedroom, but then there was going to be too much stuff going on. It would have been way too overcrowded, and so yeah, I thought it would be a nice idea to size down a telly and put it onto the bedside table. It's not a baby monitor. In my head, it's a baby monitor. I really wish that we got something like that from the Growing Together expansion pack. I feel like that was such a missed opportunity. But then saying that, I've seen a lot of people recently speaking about wanting a kit for like infants and potentially toddlers as well. I would love if we got some sort of like infant related kit, because currently we've only got stuff for them from either base game or a few different pieces from the Growing Together DLC, and I feel like there is just so much more potential that we could have with infants, one of the things being a baby monitor. I mean, to be fair, there's quite a lot of stuff that I would want for infants. I also really want prams in the game. I still can't believe they didn't give us prams with the Growing Together expansion pack. We did get some sort of like back baby carrier thing where your Sims can put infants basically on their back like a backpack, but I don't know if it's just me. I don't use it. I think I've maybe used it once or twice in my game. I forget it's there, but I know if we had a pram, my Sims would be walking around their whole entire neighbourhood and they'd always be pushing the pram along, maybe walking the dog or something. I really wish we had prams and baby monitors in the game, and also some sort of like baby bouncer thing. I don't know how you really term it as, but I remember my nephew had one when he was little. But sometimes when you have like them little, it's like a high chair, but much smaller and on wheels, and kids can bounce in it. I would love that for infants. Like, that would just be so amazing if you could you just pop the infant in their little, like, bouncer thing, and they can go around the house and they can bounce up and down. They can entertain themselves when your Sims are doing other stuff, rather than just, sticking them in a playmat or something. But yeah, I mean, there is so many different things that I want for infants in the game. I really hope we get some sort of kit related to infants, but more so like a gameplay kit, which we only currently have one, and it's the Bust the Dust kit, and doesn't really seem like we're going to be getting any more gameplay kits. But either way, that's a completely different story, completely different subject. As you can see, I've now moved over into the next bedroom, which is the bedroom that I decorated for a teenager that wants to grow up one day and become a florist. So in here, I kind of struggled trying to get the point across that this sim wants to be a florist one day. You might be able to tell, but on the bedside table, I did place down a flower arranging skill book, because that's one of the very few items that we have in the game that kind of like tied to the flower arranging skill. We don't really have that many posters or wall decorations that kind of are flowery, if you get what I mean. I did purposely place down this wardrobe actually. The one that I've used is from the movie Hangout stuff pack, but it looks like it's got some sort of like daisies on the wardrobe doors. Thought that was really pretty, so I popped that down. There's also a bookcase in this room which has some sort of like hanging ivy plant kind of like draping down the bookcase, and then in the bookcase I placed down a little record player that we got from the modern Luxe Kit. But also in this room there ends up being a little computer desk area, which you can see that I'm currently coming in and clutching up. I placed down a ton of different like hairbrushes, hair dryers, random little knickknacks, little trays. Also placed down some like makeup bags and a few different like little sculptures and stuff onto the actual computer desk itself, as well as a laptop. And then also in this room, on the other side, there ends up being a 3-tile long sofa. The one that I've used is from the book Nook Kit. To be honest with you, I just had the space for it. I didn't know what to do with it, and so I thought it might be nice. Maybe they also like reading. They have got a bookcase in their room. Maybe they like reading about all the different types of flowers and all the different types of things that come with a flower arranging. I don't know, I just thought it was nice. And then also you can see that I deleted the flower arranging table, which I initially placed down into the corner. Was it just me, or did it just look weird? It just felt weird because I always associate it to be a garden object, and have it being in a bedroom on the inside of the house, it just felt strange. And so I did decide to delete it and replace it with a little art easel, as well as a little side table that looks like it's got paintbrushes and some sort of like art palette on it. And then next to it I placed down a little armchair which we got from the high school years expansion pack. But you would have just seen it as well, very last minute, I did decide to change the bed swatch in that room. Basically, to cut a long story short, I didn't want to initially use the black and white bed swatch because I feel like I use it all the time, but can you blame me? It's just so pretty. And so initially I placed down that bed in the blue swatch. I then decided to change it to the black and white swatch, which was one that looked like it had all these different flowers and vines on. But then near the end I was thinking, no, I feel like I use this all the time, let's switch it out. And so I decided to change it to be the red swatch of that bed, and then over the top of it, as you would have seen, I decided to place down some hanging, almost like ceiling lights. We got them from high school years, they're really pretty, but yeah, I just plopped them over the bed. But currently, as you can see, I'm just coming in and decorating the second bathroom. So this is more of like the kids' bathroom, which I imagine both the teenagers, the kid, and then also the infants would use. And I tried to decorate quite fun, like, if you want to term a bathroom as fun. I just thought it would be interesting to place down a load of different wall decals of little turtles and some sort of like coral on the floor, and I decided to use a different shower and bath combo. The one that I use in this bathroom is from the Parenthood game pack. It looks like it's got a series of different elephants on, and it's really cute. And then also actually, on one of the sides of the bathtub, you would have seen I just sized up a basket. The basket itself is from the Jungle Adventure game pack. You can find it in the debug menu. But then I placed down some toys inside of it, and I'm thinking they're bath toys for more so like the infants or something. I just thought it was really sweet. But either way, moving on, as you can see, I have now moved over to the next bedroom, which is the kids' bedroom. So like I said, I imagine that this kid is really into cross country, into football, into netball, pretty much any sort of sport and activity that they can do, this kid will be into. For both this bedroom and then also the next bedroom, which is a nursery, I did decide to keep the carpet on the floor because I don't know if you would have noticed, but in both the parents' bedroom and then also the teenagers' bedroom, initially going in to decorate them, all of the bedrooms had carpet, but I don't know, I decided to change it for the other two rooms, but I thought I'll keep it so there's carpet in both the kids' room as well as the infants' room. And so, yeah, there is carpet in this room. I decided to place down these posters on the wall, which look like they've got some sort of like football, some sort of like cross-country reference with a poster of like trainers and stuff. And then in the bookcase, you can see, I placed down a pair of shoes, which look like they've just been opened in like a shoe box. I'm thinking new running shoes. Maybe this kid has a few different like odd jobs that they do for the neighbours. Maybe they like cut their grass or something, and they saved enough money to buy themselves a new fancy pair of trainers to wear when they're doing like running or cross country or netball or just any sort of sporting related thing. I just feel like it's right up this kid's street. But yeah, like I said, I imagine when they moved from the city to the suburbs and they changed schools, I imagine that now they've changed schools and they haven't got as much competition in their class, they're like top of the athletic skill within their friendship group. Like they're just so good at everything sports related. They're so good at like badminton, tennis, running, and just everything sports related is just right up this kid's street. And I did my best to try and get this point across in the bedroom. You would have seen as well, above the bed I placed down some sort of like framed jersey print. I'm thinking maybe it's like a football print or something. I then also just placed down some trophies and medals onto one of the walls. The decoration itself is from the kids' room stuff pack, as well as that frame sports jersey. But other than that, I think I ended up placing down like a football lamp in that room and just random bits and bobs, random little stuff. But then, yeah, there ends up being some more generic kid stuff in there as well, like doll's house, drawing table. There ends up being some sort of like little teddy bear by the bed so your Sims can kind of like nurse it and stuff. But it was quite generic, but I tried my best to try and get the point across. But either way, as you can see, I've now moved over into the next bedroom, which is the nursery. So in here, I decided to go for the same crib, but I just doubled it. So there is 2 of them and changed the colour swatches of them. I have 1 pink crib and then 1 blue crib, and then we also end up having the changing table in here, some sort of like little baby wardrobe, because I wanted there to be somewhere where it looks like you could change the infant's clothes. But infants, they're only little, they don't need like a big wardrobe or a big chest of drawers or something. And so I find that this one wardrobe, which the one that I've used is from the Get Together expansion pack off memory, but it's just so perfect for both infants rooms, baby rooms, toddler rooms. It's the appropriate size wardrobe to fit the appropriate size clothes in. And so I placed that down next to the little changing table. Also on the walls in this room, I placed down these little like cherry blossom tree decals, which I just think is so pretty. And then I also placed down some sort of like frame handprints above both of the cribs. One of them has a single handprint and then the other one has a double handprint, just to make it look like it's not the same object over and over again. But also end up placing down a teddy bear of a cat in that room, and then also a little bookcase, and then a rug on the floor, which the rug that I use in that room is from the Horse Ranch expansion pack. It's really sweet. It looks like it's got like little sheep on and stuff. It's so perfect for infant nurseries. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved over to the last room in this house, which is the final teenager's bedroom. So in here, the idea that I had for this room was it wasn't initially meant to be set off to be a bedroom space. Initially, when this family bought the house, it was just going to be like a regular garage. But I'm thinking that this family, bless them, when they moved out the city, they didn't have a ton of money to work with. You know, they had some, but I imagine that the world of Sequoia is quite expensive. Maybe it's just me, but you've got views of the very fancy bridge in the distance, and especially this house, by the way, the views of the bridge bang on in front of it. And so I'm thinking this house is probably a bit pricey. There wasn't enough bedrooms, but there was a garage space, so they're probably thinking it's all right, we'll just transform the garage into a bedroom for one of the teenagers. And this teenager decided to basically move in. So in here, I ended up placing down the bed that we got from the high school years expansion pack, and then on one side I placed down a bookcase that I think is also from that DLC or potentially Discover University, and then also a little bedside table one side of it. There also ends up being like a little TV station in this room, as well as like a little computer desk area. If this teenager does need a wee, they will have to go into the inside of the house because there is no bathroom, but there is definitely space to add one if you just want to make it easier for like gameplay perspective. But I'm trying to go along with the idea of this just used to be a garage, like someone's car used to live in here, someone's like tyres and, you know, spare equipment, maybe the washing machine, the tumble dryer used to live in here, you know what I mean? Like, it used to be like a regular garage, but it didn't have a bathroom, and so that's why I didn't put one in this room. But of course, for gameplay, if you want to, there is definitely space to add one in. But you can see that I've placed down this wall light above the computer desk. That is one of the new items that we got from the Party Essentials kit. It's really pretty, and I feel like I'm going to get some good use out of it, and I really didn't expect to actually like this item as much as what I did. I didn't even see, to be honest, I didn't even look at the kit before it came out. It sounds really bad, doesn't it? But I didn't actually give myself a little bit of a preview because I just expected that I wouldn't like it. But yeah, there is some really nice pieces from the Party Essentials kit that I used in this room alone. I also ended up placing down these speakers that we got from that new kit, which I didn't even know we was going to be getting it, some sort of like wall speaker, but I appreciate it. I think they look really cool behind the TV. If you look just behind like the TV console area, you can see that I placed down 2 of them against the wall. And yeah, maybe this teenager has some sort of like budget-ish surround sound system in their little garage area. But other than that, I'm going to go around the room, finish it off. I think I end up adding in some heaters because there's radiators in the rest of the house, but I'm thinking in the garage they don't have central heating, so they make do with some sort of like little electronic heater. But other than that, I'm going to end this voice over here. So as always, guys, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is JessicapieYT, or just search the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.